Blood hit the American flag. Victoria Hartwell's fist, 4 carats of diamond wrapped around manicured knuckles, connected with Daniel Reeves's mouth so hard his head snapped back. The crack echoed through courtroom 4 like a gunshot. A billionaire CEO had just punched a handcuffed single father. In open court, 3 feet from a judge. Judge Wright didn't move. The bailiff didn't move. Nobody moved. Daniel spat blood onto the mahogany table. He looked up at Victoria with eyes that made her step backward. He was smiling. "You have no idea what you just did," he whispered. Somewhere in Washington, D.C., an encrypted server was about to receive 5 words that would destroy everything Victoria Hartwell had ever built. Drop your city in the comments. Let's see how far this story travels. 14 hours earlier. Daddy comes home at 5:30. Emma didn't look up from her cereal. She was arranging the pieces into rows, perfect rows. Exactly 7 pieces per row. Exactly 12 rows. "That's right, sweetheart." Daniel Reeves kissed the top of her head. "Daddy always comes home at 5:30. "You promised." "I promised." Emma nodded. The conversation was complete. In her world, promises were laws. Routines were gravity. And Daddy coming home at 5:30 was as certain as the sun rising. Daniel grabbed his keys. Blue uniform, delivery van, $19 an hour. 3 years ago he'd worn a different uniform. FBI badge, corner office, division chief of cybersecurity. He'd put billionaires in prison. He'd testified before Congress. He'd been on the cover of Time magazine. Then Sarah got sick. Then Sarah died. Then Emma needed him more than his country did. "Mrs. Patterson will pick you up from school," Daniel said. "I'll be home at 5:30. We'll have dinner. Then medication at 600. Then the Purple Dinosaur Show. Then bedtime at 8 Huzro. Then bedtime at 8 Huzro." Emma finally looked up. Her eyes. Sarah's eyes studied his face. "You promise?" Daniel knelt down. He held up his pinky finger. "I promise." Emma wrapped her tiny pinky around his. That was 7:15 a.m. By 6 Huzru p.m., Daniel would be in handcuffs. By 8 Huzru p.m., Emma would be screaming for a father who couldn't come. By 9 Huzru a.m. the next morning, he would be bleeding on a courtroom floor while a billionaire stood over him smiling. But Daniel didn't know any of that yet. He just kissed his daughter goodbye and walked out the door. 5:47 p.m. Daniel checked his watch. 13 minutes until Emma's medication. 1 more delivery. That's all. Mrs. Margaret Chen, 1847, Hartwell Drive, Oakmont Heights. Heart medication. Urgent. He pressed the accelerator. His phone buzzed. Text from Mrs. Patterson. "She's pacing. Keeps looking at the clock." Daniel typed back. "Almost done. Put on the dinosaur show early. I'll be there." The GPS announced, "Destination on your right. Oakmont Heights, gated community." The kind of neighborhood where the landscapers made more than teachers, where the mailboxes cost more than Daniel's van. He pulled up to the gate. "Delivery for Margaret Chen. Medication from Oakmont Pharmacy." The intercom crackled. An elderly voice. "Oh, thank goodness. Come to the side entrance, dear. The main driveway is blocked." Daniel drove through. Then he saw the problem. A white Tesla Model S, parked diagonally across the service road. Hazard lights blinking, engine running, blocking everything. Daniel stopped. He checked his watch. 5:51 p.m. 9 minutes. He stepped out and approached the Tesla. The window was dark. He knocked gently. The glass slid down. Perfume flooded out. A woman in her 50s sat in the driver's seat, phone pressed to her ear, not looking at him. "Excuse me, ma'am. I need to make a delivery. Could you move your car for just a busy? Ma'am, it's medication for Mrs. Chen. She needs it tonight, and I have a daughter waiting." The woman turned. Victoria Hartwell. Daniel didn't know her name yet. Didn't know she owned half the county. Didn't know her ex-husband was a federal judge. Didn't know her former lover was rotting in a prison cell because of testimony Daniel had given 4 years ago. He just saw a rich woman who couldn't be bothered to move her car. Victoria's eyes scanned him. The uniform. The van. The simple gold wedding band. Her lip curled. "I said I'm busy. Wait." The window slid up. Daniel stood there, breathing, counting. 5:53 p.m., 7 minutes. He knocked again. Nothing. He knocked harder. The door flew open. Victoria stepped out, heels stabbing the pavement. Behind her, a man emerged from the passenger side. Tall, thick neck, earpiece. "Did you just bang on my car?" Victoria's voice was ice. "I knocked. Ma'am, please. Mrs. Chen is 84 years old. She needs this medication. And my daughter." "Your daughter is not my problem. I'm asking politely. 1 minute. That's all I need." Victoria smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. "Marcus," she said to the bodyguard, "this man is harassing me. I'm making a delivery. He tried to open my car door. I knocked on your window." "That's not what I saw." Victoria pulled out her phone. "I'm calling the police." Daniel felt his stomach drop. "That's not necessary. I'll leave. I'll call the pharmacy, have them send someone else." Too late. Victoria was already dialing. "You should have thought about that before you put your hands on my vehicle." "I didn't touch your 911. Yes, this is Victoria Hartwell. I'm at 1847 Hartwell Drive. There's a man here. He tried to force his way into my car. He grabbed my arm. I'm frightened. Please send someone immediately." She hung up. Daniel stared at her. "Why are you doing this?" Victoria's smile widened. "Because I can." 2 police cars arrived in 4 minutes. The first officer out was a heavy man with a buzz cut. Name tag, Cooper. Sheriff's badge. "Mrs. Hartwell." He tipped his hat. "You okay?" "Sheriff Cooper. Thank God." Victoria's voice transformed. Breathy, fragile. "This man attacked me. He tried to get into my car. When I stepped out, he grabbed my arm. Look." She held up her wrist. A faint red mark. "I didn't touch her," Daniel said. Cooper didn't look at him. "Marcus saw everything," Victoria continued. "Didn't you, Marcus?" The bodyguard nodded. "Grabbed the door handle, then grabbed her arm when she tried to get away." "That's a lie." "Sir," Cooper's hand moved to his weapon. "Turn around. Hands on the vehicle." "Sheriff, I'm a delivery driver. I was trying to deliver medication to an elderly woman. This is a misunderstanding." "I said turn around." Daniel looked at his watch. 5:59 p.m. "Emma." "Sheriff, please. My daughter has autism. She needs her medication at exactly 6 hours. If I'm not there." "Should have thought about that before you attacked Mrs. Hartwell." "I didn't attack anyone." "Turn around. Now. Or I'll add resisting arrest to the charges." Daniel's hands were shaking. Not from fear. From the effort of not fighting back. He could take Cooper. He knew 7 ways to disarm him before the man could blink. He could have the bodyguard on the ground in 3 seconds. But that was the old life. That was before Emma. Slowly, Daniel turned. He placed his hands on the van. He felt the cold metal of handcuffs closing around his wrists. "You're under arrest for assault, battery, and trespassing. I want my phone call. I need to call someone about my daughter. You'll get your call at the station." As Cooper shoved him toward the patrol car, Daniel looked back. Victoria Hartwell stood by her Tesla, arms crossed, watching. She wasn't just satisfied, she was excited. And something in the way she looked at him, not like a stranger, but like someone she'd been waiting for, made Daniel's blood run cold. 6:47 p.m. Oakmont County Sheriff's Station. Daniel sat in the holding cell, still cuffed, still waiting. "I need my phone call." The deputy at the desk, young kid, nervous eyes, name tag, said. Martinez looked up from his magazine. "Sheriff said phones are down." "Phones aren't down. I can see the light blinking on that one right now." Martinez shifted uncomfortably. Sheriff said you'd say that. My daughter is 7 years old. She has autism. She needs her medication at 600 p.m. every day. It's almost 700. She's alone with an elderly neighbor who can't stay past 700. If I don't call someone, I'll ask the sheriff again. Martinez disappeared. Daniel closed his eyes. Emma would be pacing by now, looking at the clock, counting the minutes. Daddy comes home at 5:30. You promised. 7:15 p.m. Martinez returned with Sheriff Cooper. Phones down. Cooper said not even pretending anymore. Budget cuts. My daughter. You should have thought about your daughter before you attacked one of the most important women in this county. Cooper leaned against the bars. Here's how this works, son. Victoria Hartwell's family built this station. See that plaque in the lobby, donated by the Hartwell Foundation. They pay for our cars, our equipment, our pensions. Her brother is the DA. Her ex-husband golfs with the governor. Daniel said nothing. Tomorrow morning you go before Judge Wright. He'll set bail at 50, maybe 100,000. You don't have that kind of money. Nobody bails out delivery drivers. So you sit in county lockup for a few weeks, maybe a few months. Your daughter goes into the system. Cooper smiled. Or you apologize, publicly. Admit you were wrong. We let you go tonight. Simple. Daniel looked at him. I didn't do anything wrong. Then I guess your little girl's gonna be waiting a long time for Daddy to come home. Cooper walked away. 7:48 p.m. 2 hours since Emma's medication was due. Daniel pressed his forehead against the cold bars. He thought about the last time he'd felt this helpless. Hospital room. Sarah's hand in his. Machines beeping slower and slower. Take care of her, Sarah had whispered. Promise me. I promise. Yeah, 5:30 a.m. Daniel hadn't slept. At 6:00 a.m. they finally let him use the phone. He called Mrs. Patterson. She screamed until 2:00 a.m. Mrs. Patterson's voice was exhausted, broken. She kept saying, Daddy promised, over and over. She hit her head against the wall, Daniel. I didn't know what to do. Finally, she just stopped, fell asleep on the floor. She's still there now. Daniel couldn't speak. What happened? The police came looking for information. They said you attacked someone. It's a lie, all of it. I'll be out today, just stay with her. Please. I'll try. But Daniel, she's not okay. Whatever's happening, you need to get home. I know. He hung up. And for the first time in years, Daniel Reeves felt something he'd almost forgotten. Rage. 9:00 a.m. Courtroom 4, Oakmont County Courthouse. They brought Daniel in through the side door. Orange jumpsuit, hands cuffed, 2 deputies flanking him. The courtroom was small. Wood panels, American flag. Half the gallery filled with lawyers and retirees. At the defense table sat a young woman with curly hair drowning in files. Mr. Reeves. She stood up quickly. Maya Santos, public defender. I got your case file 12 minutes ago. I need to get out today. I know, Mrs. Patterson called the courthouse this morning. She told me about Emma. Maya's eyes were kind. I'm going to try. What am I facing? Maya lowered her voice. Assault, battery, criminal threatening, trespassing. Bail will probably be high. How high? The prosecutor is Marcus Hartwell. Daniel closed his eyes. Victoria's brother. You know, I'm starting to figure it out. And the judge is Harrison Wright. His wife and Victoria were college roommates. So the whole thing is rigged. Maya didn't answer. All rise. Judge Wright entered. Thin, silver-haired, face like he'd been disappointed by life and decided to take it out on everyone else. He sat down heavily. Case number 7829, State versus Daniel Reeves. Assault, battery, trespassing, criminal, threatening. He barely glanced at the file. How does the defendant plead? Maya stood. Not guilty, Your Honor. We also request reasonable bail. My client is a single father with a special needs daughter who requires... The defendant attacked Victoria Hartwell. Wright cut her off. I've reviewed the report. Your Honor, my client maintains no assault occurred. This was a minor dispute about a blocked driveway. Are you suggesting Mrs. Hartwell is lying? I'm suggesting there may be another interpretation. Bail is set at $100,000. The number hung in the air. Your Honor, that's excessive. Maya's voice cracked. My client has no criminal record. He's not a flight risk. His daughter depends on him. $100,000. Remand to custody until posted. Wright reached for his gavel. No. The word came from Daniel. Quiet. Final. Wright looked up slowly. Excuse me. I said no. Daniel stood. I'm not accepting this. You don't get to. You didn't look at evidence. You didn't ask for dash cam footage. You didn't ask for witnesses. You just accepted the word of Victoria Hartwell because her name is on a plaque in your lobby. Sit down. I served this country for 15 years. Daniel's voice carried to the back of the room. I put criminals in prison, men who thought they were above the law. And now I'm watching the same thing happen in a courtroom under an American flag, and nobody's doing anything about it. Bailiff, I have a 7-year-old daughter with autism. Daniel's voice cracked, the first crack in his armor. She doesn't understand why her father didn't come home. She screamed until 2:00 a.m. She hit her head against the wall. And you're going to keep me from her because a rich woman told a lie. Wright's face was purple. Bailiff, restrain him. The bailiff grabbed Daniel's arm. My daughter needs me. Daniel wasn't fighting, wasn't resisting, just speaking. Please. Something flickered in Wright's eyes. Recognition. Not sympathy, satisfaction. Your daughter is no longer your concern. Your Honor? A voice from the gallery. Everyone turned. Victoria Hartwell walked down the center aisle, heels clicking, designer suit, perfect makeup. She stopped at the bar. If I may. Wright bowed his head. Of course, Mrs. Hartwell. I've been thinking about this situation. Victoria's voice dripped with sweetness. I believe in forgiveness, Christian charity, all that. Daniel watched her. I'm willing to drop all charges. Maya straightened. Your Honor. On one condition. Victoria smiled at Daniel. I'd like a private word with Mr. Reeves, to hear his apology, personally. This is highly irregular, Maya protested. I think it's a lovely gesture. Wright nodded. Bailiff, escort them to the conference room. 5 minutes. Your Honor, I strongly advise against 5 minutes, Ms. Santos. The conference room was small. 1 table, 2 chairs, no windows. The door closed. They were alone. Victoria circled Daniel slowly. So, she said. Daniel Reeves. The way she said his name, like she'd been practicing it. What do you want? I want you to understand something. Victoria stopped in front of him. This isn't about a blocked driveway. This isn't about you knocking on my window. She leaned closer. This is about what happened 4 years ago. Daniel's mind raced. 4 years ago. FBI. The biggest case of his career. Operation Nightfall. International trafficking ring. Billionaires buying and selling human beings. 17 convictions. Life sentences. Thomas Crane. Daniel said slowly. Victoria's eyes flashed. You remember. Your business partner, convicted of trafficking minors. My lover. Victoria's voice hardened. And you destroyed him. You sat on that witness stand for 3 days. When you were done, Thomas was sentenced to die in prison. He sold children. He made mistakes. He sold a 14-year-old girl to a Saudi prince. Victoria slapped him. Daniel didn't move, didn't blink. Thomas warned me about you, Victoria hissed. The FBI agent with the perfect memory, the one who never forgets a face. He said if I ever saw you, I should run. Should have listened. Run. Victoria laughed. I've spent 4 years waiting for this. Do you know how hard it was to find you? After you left the bureau, you disappeared, but then someone spotted you at a pharmacy, picking up medication for your autistic daughter. Daniel felt ice in his veins. That's right. Victoria stepped closer. I know all about Emma, her condition, her routines, her need for precision. If you touch her, I don't need to touch her. I just need to keep you in prison long enough for her to go into foster care. Victoria smiled. Do you know what happens to autistic children in the system, Daniel? They don't do well. Daniel's hands were trembling, not from fear, from restraint. You have no idea what you're doing, he said quietly. I know exactly what I'm doing. You're a washed-up agent who threw away his career to play daddy. You don't have friends anymore. You don't have resources. You're nobody. I'm somebody. You're a delivery driver. I'm the man who put Thomas Crane in prison, and I did it with evidence, documentation, testimony that couldn't be broken. Daniel stepped toward her. Victoria stepped back. I'm also the man who spent 12 years working with Catherine Walsh. Victoria's face changed. The FBI director. My former partner, my daughter's godmother, the woman I called family before I had a family. You're bluffing. I have an email address, one address, memorized the day I retired. Goes directly to Catherine's personal server. You're lying. Why? In about 10 minutes, my public defender is going to send one email, 5 words. Ghost protocol has been compromised. When Catherine reads that, she'll know exactly what it means. Victoria's hands were shaking. She'll know one of her agents is being held illegally. She'll know the people responsible are connected to the same network we spent years destroying. And she'll come for you with everything the federal government has. Daniel was close now, close enough to see the fear in her eyes. You wanted revenge. You got my attention, but you made one mistake. What's that? You threatened my daughter. Victoria opened her mouth to respond. The door burst open. Maya stood in the doorway, face white. Mr. Reeves. Her voice was shaking. I sent the email 15 minutes ago. I didn't believe. What happened? There are federal agents in the lobby. Victoria's face collapsed. They're asking for you. Daniel turned to Victoria one last time. Ghost protocol, he said softly. It means I'm not alone. It means there are people watching. And it means that everything you've done in the last 24 hours has been recorded, documented, and sent to people who have the power to end you. He walked toward the door. Your Honor set my bail at $100,000, Daniel said over his shoulder. I think he's about to find out that was a mistake. Victoria Hartwell stood alone in the conference room. For the first time in 40 years, she had no idea what to do. Here, Daniel walked out of the conference room, down the hallway, toward the sound of boots. Maya fell into step beside him. I didn't think it was real, she whispered. I thought you were just, I don't know, desperate. I was desperate. I'm also telling the truth. Who are you? Daniel stopped. Through the glass doors of the courthouse lobby he could see them. Black suits, tactical gear, the unmistakable posture of federal agents, and in the center a woman with silver hair and a face he'd know anywhere. Catherine Walsh, FBI director. His partner of 12 years, Emma's godmother. She looked up and saw him through the glass. She didn't smile. She nodded. I'm here. Daniel turned to Maya. I'm Emma's father, he said. That's who I am. He pushed through the doors. End of Part 1. Catherine Walsh crossed the lobby in 6 strides. She didn't stop until she was standing directly in front of Daniel. Her eyes scanned his face, the split lip, the bruise forming on his jaw, the blood dried on his orange jumpsuit. Who did this? Long story. I've got time. Catherine turned to the 4 agents flanking her. Secure the building. No one leaves until I say so. Director Walsh. A man in a suit stepped forward. Local, nervous. I'm District Attorney Marcus Hartwell. I don't know what you think is happening here, but this man is in county custody. He's been charged with assault on a prominent. Is Victoria Hartwell your sister? Marcus blinked. Yes, but... Then you're recused. Effective immediately. Catherine pulled out her phone. I'm calling the State Attorney General. You'll be hearing from him within the hour. You can't just... I am. And if you say one more word, I'll have you arrested for obstruction. Catherine turned back to Daniel. Where is she? Conference room, down the hall. Catherine nodded to two of her agents. Bring her out. Cuffs. Director, you have no jurisdiction here. Marcus was sweating now. This is a county matter. You can't just walk in and... A former FBI division chief was falsely arrested, denied his constitutional rights, and assaulted while in custody. Catherine's voice could have frozen steel. That makes it a federal matter. The assault happened in open court. That makes it a federal building. And your sister's connection to Thomas Crane makes it part of an ongoing federal investigation. Marcus went pale. Thomas Crane, your sister's former lover, currently serving life in federal prison for human trafficking. You didn't know. Marcus didn't answer. Interesting. Catherine pulled out a small notebook. We'll be looking into that. The courthouse had gone completely silent. Lawyers, clerks, bailiffs, everyone frozen in place, watching the scene unfold like a movie they couldn't pause. The doors to the hallway swung open. Two federal agents emerged, escorting Victoria Hartwell between them. Her hands were cuffed in front of her. Her perfect makeup was smeared. Her eyes were wild. Get your hands off me. Victoria struggled against the agents. Do you know who I am? My ex-husband is a federal judge. My family built this courthouse. I will have your badges. I will... Victoria Hartwell. Catherine stepped forward. You are under arrest for conspiracy to deprive a citizen of their civil rights, filing a false police report and assault. Assault I didn't. We have the courtroom footage. The cameras you thought were disabled have a federal backup. We watched you punch a handcuffed man in the face. Victoria's mouth opened, closed, opened again. He threatened me. In the conference room. He said, the conference room is wired too. Catherine smiled. It wasn't a friendly smile. We heard everything. Your confession about Thomas Crane, your threats against his daughter, all of it. Victoria looked at Daniel. Something shifted in her face. The arrogance crumbled. Underneath was something raw, desperate. You planned this, she whispered. You knew. I didn't plan anything. Daniel stepped toward her. I just wanted to deliver medication to an old woman and get home to my daughter. You did the rest. I'll destroy you. You already tried. Daniel's voice was quiet, calm, terrifying. And now my daughter spent the night screaming because her father didn't come home. She hit her head against the wall until she passed out. She's 7 years old, and she doesn't understand why Daddy broke his promise. Victoria flinched. So whatever happens to you next. Daniel continued. Remember, you did this to yourself. I was just a delivery driver trying to get home. Catherine put a hand on Daniel's shoulder. We need to get you to a hospital. Get that lip looked at. I need to get home. Emma. We already sent a team. She's being brought here. Should arrive in about 20 minutes. Daniel closed his eyes. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. Catherine's voice softened. There's more to this than just Victoria. We've been tracking the Hartwell family for months. Money laundering, connections to Crane's old network. This arrest is going to blow the whole thing open. I don't care about any of that. I just want my daughter. I know. But Daniel... Catherine hesitated. The judge who set your bail. Right. He's part of it too. Daniel opened his eyes. Where is he? Still in his chambers. We're getting a warrant. He watched her hit me. He saw the whole thing and did nothing. I know. He was going to send me to prison. He was going to take me away from Emma. Daniel. I want to see him. Catherine studied his face for a long moment. That's not a good idea. I'm not going to hurt him. I just want him to see me, walking free. I want him to know that his little arrangement with Victoria is over. Catherine sighed. 5 minutes, and I'm coming with you. They walked down the hallway together. Catherine, Daniel, 2 federal agents behind them. The courthouse staff pressed against the walls as they passed. Word had spread fast. The delivery driver in the orange jumpsuit was FBI. The FBI director herself had come to get him. Victoria Hartwell was in handcuffs. The world had turned upside down in 20 minutes. Judge Wright's chambers were at the end of the hall. Heavy wooden door, brass nameplate. Catherine knocked twice. Who is it? Wright's voice was muffled, irritated. FBI Director Catherine Walsh. Open the door, Your Honor. Silence. Then, I'm in the middle of... Open the door, or I'll have my agents break it down. More silence. Then the lock clicked. The door swung open. Wright stood in his chambers, still wearing his robes. His face was red. His hands were trembling. Behind him on the desk, Daniel could see a half-packed briefcase. The judge had been preparing to run. Director Walsh. Wright's voice cracked. To what do I owe? Judge Harrison Wright. You are under arrest for deprivation of rights under color of law, conspiracy to commit false imprisonment, and obstruction of justice. This is outrageous. I'm a sitting judge. You can't. I can, and I am. Catherine stepped aside. But first, I believe someone wants to speak with you. Daniel walked into the chambers. Wright's face went gray. Mr. Reeves, the charges against you are being reviewed. I'm sure we can come to some arrangement. You set my bail at $100,000. Standard procedure for assault charges. I didn't assault anyone. Mrs. Hartwell said. Mrs. Hartwell punched me in the face while I was handcuffed. In your courtroom, 3 feet from your bench. Wright swallowed. I didn't see. You watched it happen. Daniel's voice was quiet, controlled, but something underneath it made Wright step backward. You looked right at her. You saw her fist connect with my face, and then you said I lunged. There must have been a misunderstanding. My daughter is 7 years old. She has autism. She needs routine, stability, predictability, and because of you, she spent last night alone, terrified, hurting herself because she couldn't understand why her father broke his promise. Wright was pressed against his desk now. I'm sorry, I didn't know. You didn't care. Daniel stepped closer. You didn't care who I was. You didn't care about my daughter. You just saw a delivery driver in a cheap uniform, and you decided I didn't matter. You decided I could be thrown away. The Hartwells are very influential in this county. And now they're going to prison, along with you. Wright's legs buckled. He slumped against the desk. Please. I have a family. I have grandchildren. So did the people Thomas Crane sold. They had families too, children, parents who are still looking for them. Daniel leaned down. Victoria Hartwell helped him. She funded his operation, and you protected her. How many other innocent people did you throw away to keep her happy? Wright didn't answer. Daniel straightened up. I hope you think about that, every day, for the rest of your life. He turned and walked out of the chambers. Catherine was waiting in the hallway. Feel better? No. Daniel looked at his hands. They were shaking. I just want to see my daughter. She should be here any minute. As if on cue, the front doors of the courthouse opened. Daniel heard her before he saw her. Daddy! Emma came running down the hallway. She was wearing her favorite purple dress, the one with the dinosaurs. Her hair was messy. Her face was streaked with tears. But she was running toward him. Daniel dropped to his knees. Emma slammed into him so hard he almost fell over. Her arms wrapped around his neck, her face buried in his shoulder. Her whole body shook with sobs. You promised, she cried. You promised you'd come home at 5:30. You broke the promise. You broke it, Daddy. I know, sweetheart. Daniel's voice cracked. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I waited. I waited by the window. You didn't come. Something happened. Some bad people stopped me from coming home. Bad people? Emma pulled back. Her eyes. Sarah's eyes were red and swollen. What bad people? They're going away now. They can't hurt us anymore. Promise. Daniel held up his pinky finger. Promise. Emma wrapped her tiny finger around his. I don't like it when you break promises, Daddy. I know. I'll try to never do it again. You can't try. You have to promise. Daniel looked at his daughter, 7 years old, the most important person in his world, the reason he'd given up everything, his career, his identity, his life, to become a delivery driver. I promise. Emma nodded. The conversation was complete. In her world, promises were laws again. She looked around the courthouse, taking in the federal agents, the flashing lights, the chaos. Why are you wearing orange, Daddy? You don't like orange. Orange is not your color. Daniel laughed. It was the first time he'd laughed in 36 hours. You're right. Orange is definitely not my color. Can we go home now? Mrs. Patterson made dinosaur nuggets, but I didn't eat them. I was waiting for you. We always eat dinner together at 600. It's 10:00 in the morning, sweetheart. I know. I'm very hungry. I waited a long time. Daniel picked her up. She wrapped her arms around his neck, her legs around his waist. She was getting too big to be carried like this, but he didn't care. Let's go home, he said. Catherine met them at the courthouse door. Daniel, I know you want to leave, but we need to debrief. There's paperwork, statements to give. Tomorrow. Daniel. My daughter hasn't eaten since yesterday. She hasn't had her medication. She needs to go home and I need to be with her. Catherine looked at Emma, who was staring at her with open curiosity. You're pretty, Emma said. Are you Daddy's friend? Catherine smiled. It was a different smile than the one she'd shown Victoria and Wright. Softer. I'm your godmother, Emma. We met when you were a baby. I don't remember. That's okay. I remember. Catherine reached out and gently touched Emma's hair. You had so much hair, even as a baby. Your mom used to put little bows in it. Emma's face lit up. You knew my mommy. I did. She was one of my best friends. Daddy says Mommy is in heaven now, with the angels. That's right. Do you think she can see us from heaven? Catherine glanced at Daniel. His eyes were wet. I think she watches you every day, Emma, and I think she's very proud of you. Emma considered this. I think so too. She turned to Daniel. Can we go home now, Daddy? I'm really hungry. Yeah, sweetheart. We can go home. Catherine stepped back. I'll send agents to escort you. We'll have people watching your house for the next few days, just in case. In case of what? The Hartwells have resources, friends. This isn't over yet. Catherine's face hardened. Victoria is just the beginning. We're going to unravel their whole operation, and when we do, some powerful people are going to be very unhappy. I don't care about powerful people. I just want to take care of my daughter. I know, but Daniel... Catherine lowered her voice. You're a witness now. Again. Just like with Crane. These people don't forget. Neither do I, Catherine nodded. Go home. Get some rest. I'll come by tomorrow morning. We'll talk then. She turned to Emma. It was nice to see you again, Emma. It was nice to meet you, Godmother Catherine. Emma frowned. Can I call you Aunt Catherine instead? Godmother is too long. Catherine laughed. You can call me whatever you want. Okay. Aunt Kathy. That's better. Aunt Kathy it is. They drove home in a black federal SUV, 2 agents in the front seat, Daniel and Emma in the back. Emma sat in his lap, pressed against his chest. She was quiet, processing everything that had happened. Daddy. Yes, sweetheart. Why did the bad people want to stop you from coming home? Daniel thought about how to answer. Emma didn't understand lies. She couldn't process complicated motives. Everything had to be simple, direct. A long time ago, before you were born, I had a different job. You caught bad guys. Mommy told me. That's right. And one of the bad guys I caught. His friend wanted to hurt me because of it. That's not fair. No, it's not. Did you hurt her back? No. Why not? Because hurting people doesn't fix things. It just makes more hurt. Emma thought about this. But she hurt you. Your lip is all red. I know, and she's going to prison for it. The other people, the ones who helped her, they're going to prison too. Good. Emma nodded firmly. Bad people should go to prison. That's the rule. That's the rule. They pulled onto their street. Small houses, neat lawns. Mrs. Patterson was standing on the porch, her hand pressed to her chest. The SUV stopped. Daniel stepped out with Emma in his arms. Oh, thank God. Mrs. Patterson hurried down the steps. Emma, sweetheart, are you okay? I'm hungry, Emma said. And Daddy's wearing orange. Orange is not his color. Mrs. Patterson looked at Daniel. Her eyes were wet. I'm so sorry. I didn't know what to do. She was so scared. You stayed with her. That's what mattered. Daniel shifted Emma to one hip. I can't thank you enough. What happened? The news is saying something about federal agents at the courthouse, something about the Hartwells. It's a long story. Is it over? Daniel looked back at the SUV. The agents were watching, waiting. I don't know yet. Shem. Inside the house, everything was exactly as Emma had left it. The cereal bowl on the table pieces still arranged in rows. The purple dinosaur show paused on the TV. Her backpack by the door. Emma wriggled out of Daniel's arms and ran to the kitchen. I'm going to eat my dinosaur nuggets now, even though it's morning, because I waited, and that means I earned them. That seems fair. Daniel watched her open the refrigerator. Her movements were careful, precise. She arranged the nuggets on a plate in a specific pattern. 3 rows. 4 nuggets per row. This was his life now. Not interrogation rooms and federal courthouses. Not international trafficking rings and congressional testimonies. Just a small kitchen in a small house watching his daughter eat dinosaur nuggets at 10:30 in the morning. He wouldn't trade it for anything. His phone buzzed. A text from Catherine. Turn on the news. Daniel grabbed the remote and switched the channel. Onto breaking developments in Oakmont County, where FBI Director Catherine Walsh has announced the arrest of Victoria Hartwell, CEO of Hartwell Industries. Sources say Mrs. Hartwell is connected to an ongoing federal investigation into human trafficking. The screen showed Victoria being led out of the courthouse in handcuffs. Her face was blank, defeated. Behind her, Sheriff Cooper was being escorted by 2 agents. Then Marcus Hartwell, the DA. Then Judge Wright, still in his robes. Also arrested were several local officials, including Sheriff Bradley Cooper and Judge Harrison Wright. The FBI has not released details, but sources say this is connected to a case from 4 years ago involving convicted trafficker Thomas Crane. Daniel turned off the TV. Daddy? Emma was watching him from the kitchen. Who was that lady on the TV? One of the bad people. She looked sad. She made bad choices. Now she has to live with them. Emma nodded. That's what happens when you make bad choices. You taught me that. I did. Emma went back to her nuggets. Daniel sat down on the couch. His whole body ached. The split lip, the bruised ribs, the exhaustion of 36 hours without sleep. But he was home. Emma was safe. For now, that was enough. 3 hours later, Emma was asleep on the couch, her head in Daniel's lap. The medication had finally been administered. The routine had been restored. Her breathing was slow and steady. Daniel stroked her hair watching her sleep. His phone buzzed again. Catherine. Coming over? We need to talk. 15 minutes later, there was a soft knock at the door. Daniel gently moved Emma's head to a pillow and went to answer it. Catherine stood on the porch. She looked tired. Behind her, 2 agents waited by the SUV. Can I come in? She's sleeping. I'll be quiet. Daniel stepped aside. Catherine walked into the living room. She saw Emma on the couch and her expression softened. She looks peaceful. First time in 36 hours. Catherine sat down in the armchair across from the couch. Daniel took the chair beside Emma. We've been going through Victoria's files, Catherine said quietly. It's worse than we thought. How much worse? She didn't just fund Crane's operation. She was part of the network. A silent partner. When Crane went to prison, she took over some of his connections. Daniel felt cold. She was still trafficking. Not directly, but she was laundering money for people who were. Millions of dollars. Running through Hartwell Industries, through local real estate deals, through the county government. Wright and Cooper. They were on her payroll. So was the DA. So were half the county officials. She'd built a machine, Daniel. A machine for making people disappear. Daniel looked at Emma. People like me. Yes. Catherine leaned forward. The DUI charges, the assault charges, it was all a setup. She was going to have you convicted on fake charges, sent to county lockup, and then transferred. Transferred where? We don't know yet, but we found evidence of other transfers. People who were arrested for minor crimes, convicted quickly, and then vanished from the system. No release records, no transfer paperwork, just gone. Daniel's hands were shaking again. How many? We're still counting, at least 30 in the past 2 years. 30 people. Gone. Sold. We think some ended up overseas. Others. Catherine didn't finish the sentence. And I was going to be next. If your public defender hadn't sent that email, yes. You would have been processed through the system, assigned to a work release program that didn't exist and disappeared. Daniel closed his eyes. He thought about Emma. Waiting by the window. Watching the clock. Daddy didn't come home at 5:30. Daddy didn't come home at all. I want them all, Daniel said quietly. What? Everyone involved. Every person who touched this operation. Every judge who signed off on fake transfers. Every cop who looked the other way. I want them all to pay. Daniel. I'm not asking for revenge. I'm asking for justice. Daniel opened his eyes. I spent 15 years putting people like this in prison. I know how the system works. I know how cases are built. Let me help. Catherine studied him for a long moment. You're a civilian now. I'm a consultant. That's what you called me when you testified before Congress. Our most valuable consultant. Remember, that was 4 years ago. The skills haven't changed. Catherine sighed. The DOJ isn't going to like this. The DOJ doesn't have to know. Daniel, you came to me because you need me. You need someone who knows how these networks operate. Someone who can look at the evidence and connect the dots. Someone who doesn't have political connections to worry about. You have Emma to worry about. Daniel looked at his daughter. That's exactly why I want to help. Because somewhere out there are other fathers who didn't come home. Other children who waited by the window for someone who never arrived. And the people who did that are still walking free. Catherine was silent for a long time. Finally she nodded. Okay, but on my terms. You work from home. You never meet sources directly. And if it gets dangerous, you're out. Immediately. Agreed. And Emma comes first. Always. She always does. Catherine stood up. I'll send the files tomorrow. Everything we have. It's going to be a lot. I've handled a lot before. I know. Catherine looked at Emma one more time. Sarah would be proud of you, Daniel. The way you've protected her. I made a promise. You always keep your promises. Daniel walked Catherine to the door. One more thing, Catherine said, turning back. Victoria is claiming she'll make bail. Her lawyers are already working on it. Bail after everything. She has resources, connections. The judge who's reviewing her case isn't connected to the Hartwells, but that doesn't mean he can't be influenced. What are you saying? I'm saying stay alert. Even in custody, Victoria Hartwell is dangerous. And she's made it very clear that this isn't over for her. Daniel nodded slowly. Then it's not over for me either. Catherine walked down the steps to the waiting SUV. Daniel watched her go. Then he closed the door, locked it, and went back to the couch. Emma was still sleeping, her chest rising and falling, her face peaceful. Daniel sat down beside her. He thought about Victoria Hartwell, about Thomas Crane, about 30 people who had vanished into a system designed to swallow them whole. He thought about the promise he'd made to Sarah, to take care of Emma, to protect her, to keep her safe. And he thought about the promise he'd just made to himself. This wasn't over, not by a long shot. The files arrived at 6:00 a.m. Daniel was already awake. He hadn't slept much, maybe 3 hours broken into fragments by nightmares of courtrooms and handcuffs, and Emma screaming for him through a locked door. The Federal Courier knocked twice. Daniel signed for the package. 3 boxes. Heavy. Sealed with red tape marked classified. He carried them to the kitchen table and began to unpack. Emma wouldn't wake up for another hour. Her routine was sacred. 7:00 a.m. wake up, 7:15. Breakfast, 7:45 getting dressed. He had 90 minutes to start making sense of what Victoria Hartwell had built. The first box contained financial records, bank statements, wire transfers, shell companies with names like Sunrise Holdings and Pacific Trust Management. The money moved in circles, washing itself clean through layers of transactions until it emerged on the other end, looking legitimate. Daniel had seen this before. With Crane. With a dozen other traffickers he'd put away. But this was different. This was local. This was a county government. This was judges and sheriffs and district attorneys, people who were supposed to protect citizens, instead feeding them into a machine designed to grind them into profit. The second box contained case files, 37 of them. 37 people who had been arrested on minor charges, DUI, trespassing, petty theft, and then vanished from the system. Daniel opened the first file. Marcus Johnson, age 34, arrested for public intoxication outside a bar in Oakmont County. Bail set at $50,000, absurdly high for a drunk and disorderly charge. No one paid. Marcus was transferred to county lockup, then to a work release program 3 weeks later. No release date recorded. No current location. Just gone. Daniel opened the second file. Rosa Mendez, age 28. Arrested for driving without a valid license. Same pattern. High bail. Transfer to work release. Disappeared. The third file. The fourth. The fifth. Same story, over and over. These weren't criminals, they were targets. People without resources, without connections, without anyone who would notice when they didn't come home. Just like Daniel. If Maya Santos hadn't made that call, he would have been file number 38. Daddy. Daniel looked up. Emma was standing in the kitchen doorway, rubbing her eyes. Her hair was a mess. Her pajamas had dinosaurs on them. Good morning, sweetheart. It's 6:47. I'm not supposed to wake up until 7:00. I know. Did something wake you up? I had a dream. Emma walked over and climbed into his lap, ignoring the files spread across the table. A bad dream. What happened in the dream? You went away, and you didn't come back. And I waited and waited, but you never came back. Daniel wrapped his arms around her. I'm right here. I'm not going anywhere. You promise? I promise. Emma nodded, but she didn't move. She stayed in his lap, her head against his chest, listening to his heartbeat. Daddy. Yes. What are all those papers? Daniel looked at the files, the faces of missing people staring up at him. Work, he said. I'm helping some people. What kind of people? People who got lost. I'm trying to help find them. Emma considered this. Like hide and seek. Something like that. I'm good at hide and seek. I can help. Daniel smiled despite everything. I know you're good at it, but this is grown-up hide-and-seek. It's complicated. I like complicated. You taught me that word, complicated. It means lots of pieces that fit together. That's right. So, show me the pieces. Maybe I can help them fit. Daniel hesitated. Then he picked up one of the files, not the photos, just a page of numbers. See these numbers? They're like a code. When you figure out the pattern, you can find where something went. Emma studied the page with intense concentration. These numbers are wrong, she said. What? Look. Emma pointed at a column. This number says 7,000. But if you add up all the little numbers, it's 7,342. Somebody made a mistake. Daniel looked at where she was pointing. She was right. The accounting didn't add up. Someone had altered the transfer records. Emma, Daniel said slowly, you just found something important. I told you, I'm good at complicated. At 8:30, Mrs. Patterson arrived to watch Emma while Daniel made a video call with Catherine. We found discrepancies in the financial records. Daniel set his laptop open on the kitchen counter. Someone was skimming from the transfers, about $342 per person. Catherine's face on the screen was tired but alert. Skimming from a trafficking operation. Someone inside the operation was taking a cut and hiding it. Probably someone low-level who thought they wouldn't get caught. That's good. That means there's a weak link, someone we can flip. I need access to the personnel records for the county sheriff's department. Everyone who handled prisoner transfers in the past 2 years. I'll send them this afternoon. And I need something else. Daniel hesitated. Maya Santos, the public defender. I want her involved. The woman who made the call. She knows the local system. She defended some of these people before they disappeared. She might have information she doesn't even know is relevant. She's a civilian. So am I. Catherine sighed. Fine, but this stays contained. The fewer people who know about this investigation, the better. Understood. And Daniel? Catherine leaned closer to the camera. Victoria made bail this morning. Daniel felt his jaw tighten. How? Her lawyers argued she wasn't a flight risk. The judge not write a replacement from the next county agreed. She's under house arrest with an ankle monitor, but she's out. House arrest. In her mansion. I know. She tried to traffic me. She threatened my daughter, and she's sitting in her mansion with an ankle bracelet. The federal charges are still pending. This is temporary. We're building the case. Build faster. Daniel. She's going to run. You know she is. Someone with her resources, her connections, house arrest won't hold her. We have people watching. You had people watching Thomas Crane. He still managed to transfer $40 million to offshore accounts before the trial. Catherine didn't respond. I need to work faster, Daniel said. Send me everything you have. Names, addresses, known associates. If Victoria is going to run, I want to know where she'll go and who she'll call. This isn't your job anymore, Daniel. You're supposed to be consulting, not running the operation. My daughter was threatened. That makes it my job. The call ended. Daniel stood in the kitchen staring at the blank screen. Victoria Hartwell was out, walking free, planning her next move. And somewhere in those 37 files, there were people who might still be alive. People who might be rescued if Daniel could just figure out where they'd been sent. The clock was ticking. Maya Santos arrived at noon. She looked different than she had in the courtroom. Less frantic, more determined. She was carrying a laptop bag and a box of her own files. Thank you for coming, Daniel said, letting her in. Thank you for asking. Maya looked around the small living room. I thought your house would be bigger. Why, FBI Division Chief, Medal of Honor from the Bureau. I assumed there'd be more, I don't know, trophies. I traded the trophies for dinosaur pajamas and a 7-year-old who corrects my math. Maya smiled. Where is she? Backyard. Mrs. Patterson is teaching her to garden. Emma insists on planting the seeds in perfectly straight rows. Of course she does. They sat at the kitchen table. Daniel pushed aside the federal files and made space for Maya's box. What did you bring? Every case I handled in Oakmont County for the past 3 years. Maya started pulling out folders. After I left the courthouse yesterday, I couldn't stop thinking. All those people I told to plead guilty. All those cases that seemed open and shut. What if they weren't? You couldn't have known. Maybe not, but I should have asked more questions. Maya opened a folder. Luis Fernandez, arrested for shoplifting. I got him to plead to a reduced charge 90 days in county. He was supposed to be released 6 months ago. His mother called me last week asking if I knew where he was. I told her I'd look into it. I never did. Is he in the files? I don't know. That's why I'm here. They worked in silence for an hour, cross-referencing Maya's cases with the federal files. The pattern became clearer with each match. 13 of Maya's clients appeared in the federal files. 13 people she had defended. 13 people she had told to plead guilty because she thought it was the best option. 13 people who had vanished. Oh God, Maya's voice was barely a whisper. I did this. I helped them do this. No. I told them to plead. I told them it was the smart move. I handed them over. You were doing your job. You were working with the information you had. That's not good enough. Maya's voice cracked. I'm supposed to protect people. That's what public defenders do. We're the last line of defense for people who have nothing else. And I failed them. Daniel let her cry. He understood. The guilt of realizing you'd been complicit in something terrible. The weight of wondering what you could have done differently. He'd felt it himself years ago when a witness in one of his cases had been killed before trial. He'd replayed every decision, every choice, searching for the moment where he could have saved her. There was no such moment. The guilt remained anyway. Listen to me, Daniel said finally. What happened to those people is not your fault. It's Victoria Hartwell's fault. It's the sheriff's fault. It's the judge's fault. They built this system. They corrupted it. You were just another victim. I wasn't in handcuffs. No, but you were trapped in a system designed to make you complicit without your knowledge. That's how these operations work. They use good people to do their dirty work. Maya wiped her eyes. What do we do now? We find them, the 13 people. We figure out where they went, and we bring them home. How? Daniel pulled out a map. Oakmont County and the surrounding areas. The transfer records show all 37 people were sent to the same work release program. But there is no work release program. It's a ghost, a paper trail that leads nowhere. So where did they actually go? That's what we need to figure out. Daniel pointed to a location on the map. This is the county lockup. All the prisoners were processed here before being transferred. The records say they were put on buses headed to a facility in Pine Valley. Pine Valley is a national forest. Exactly. There's no facility there. But there is something else. Daniel pulled out a satellite image. A private airstrip, owned by a shell company called Pacific Trust Management. One of Victoria's companies. Yes. Maya stared at the image. They flew them out. That's my theory. The prisoners were taken to the airstrip and put on private planes. From there they could go anywhere. Mexico, Central America, overseas. But that means... Maya's face went pale. That means some of them might still be alive. Some of them, maybe. We have to find them. That's what I'm working on. Daniel pulled out another file. But I need more information. The airstrip is the key. If we can figure out the flight records, we can trace where the planes went. How do we get flight records? The FAA. But getting a warrant will take time. Time we might not have. Maya thought for a moment. What about the pilots? Someone had to fly those planes. If we can identify them, we can trace them back to their employers, find out who hired them, build the connection. I might be able to help with that. Maya pulled out her phone. My brother is an air traffic controller at the regional airport. He's not connected to the Hartwells, he works for the FAA. If there were private flights going in and out of that airstrip, he might have records. Can you trust him? With my life. Then make the call. Maya's brother Carlos called back within 2 hours. I found something, he said, his voice crackling through the speakerphone. That airstrip in Pine Valley, it's supposed to be inactive. Hasn't had registered traffic in 5 years. But I looked at the radar logs. And there have been flights, unregistered, late at night, usually between 200 and 400 a.m. Small planes. They fly in, stay on the ground for about an hour, then take off again. Where do they go? South, toward the border. After that, I lose them. They drop below radar coverage. Daniel and Maya exchanged looks. How many flights? Daniel asked. In the past 2 years, 43. 43 flights. 37 missing people. The numbers almost matched. Can you get us the exact dates and times? I already have them. I'll email them to Maya. Carlos. Daniel leaned closer to the phone. This information you can't tell anyone you gave it to us. Not your supervisors. Not your co-workers. No one. I understand. These people are dangerous. If they find out you're helping us... I said I understand. Carlos's voice hardened. Maya told me what happened. What they did to you. What they were going to do. If they're trafficking people out of this county, I want them stopped. Whatever it takes. Thank you. The call ended. Maya was already pulling up her email. The dates, she said. They correlate. Look. She turned the laptop toward Daniel. Each flight corresponded to a transfer from the county lockup. Within 48 hours of a prisoner being released to the work program, a plane took off from the Pine Valley airstrip. We have them, Maya breathed. We actually have them. We have evidence of flights. We still don't know where they went. But we can find out. With this information, the FBI can... Daniel's phone buzzed. A text from Catherine. Victoria's ankle monitor just went offline. She's in the wind. Daniel's blood went cold. What is it? Maya asked. Victoria escaped. Escaped? She was under house arrest. She had an ankle monitor. She cut it, or had someone cut it for her. Daniel was already dialing Catherine. She's running. The phone rang once, twice. I know. Catherine answered before he could speak. We're mobilizing now. Her house is empty. Staff says she left 2 hours ago. 2 hours? Why didn't the monitor alert immediately? Someone hacked it, made it look like she was still there. We only noticed when we did a physical check. She has help. Inside help. Obviously. Catherine's voice was tight. Daniel, I need you to stay where you are. Lock your doors. Don't go anywhere. Why? You think she's coming for me? I think a woman who built a trafficking empire isn't going to just disappear without tying up loose ends, and you're the biggest loose end she has. Daniel looked out the window. Emma was still in his backyard, carefully planting seeds while Mrs. Patterson supervised. I have to get Emma somewhere safe. I'm sending agents. They'll be there in 20 minutes. That might not be fast enough. Daniel, just send them. I'll do what I have to do. He hung up. Maya was staring at him. What do we do? You need to leave. Now. I'm not leaving you. Maya, listen to me. Victoria knows I'm working on this case. If she's running, she might try to destroy evidence or silence witnesses. You're a witness now. Your brother is a witness. You need to disappear until this is over. Where am I supposed to go? Your brother. The one who gave us the flight records. Go to him. Stay there. Don't answer your phone unless it's me or Catherine Walsh. Maya grabbed her laptop and her files. What about you? I'm going to get my daughter somewhere safe. And then I'm going to find Victoria before she finds me. Daniel, you can't. I spent 15 years hunting people like her. I know how they think. I know where they run. Daniel walked her to the door. Go, now. And Maya, thank you. For making the call. For everything. Maya hesitated. Then she hugged him. Quick. Tight. Don't do anything stupid, she said. I have a 7-year-old who depends on me. Stupid isn't an option. Maya ran to her car. Daniel watched her drive away. Then he went to the backyard. Emma. She looked up from her perfectly straight rows of seeds. Daddy, look, I planted tomatoes. Mrs. Patterson says they'll grow in 60 days. That's 8 weeks and 4 days. I calculated it. That's great, sweetheart. But we need to go now. Go where it's not time to go anywhere. It's 2:17. We don't have anything scheduled until dinner at 6 Hours. I know, but something came up. We need to visit Aunt Kathy. Aunt Kathy. Emma's face brightened. She was nice. Can I bring my dinosaurs? You can bring whatever you want, but we need to leave right now. Something in his voice must have registered. Emma stopped smiling. Is something wrong, Daddy? Daniel knelt down. Remember the bad people I told you about, the ones who stopped me from coming home? Yes. One of them is trying to find me. I need to make sure you're safe. Emma's eyes went wide. Is she going to hurt us? No, because I'm going to stop her. But first I need to know you're somewhere safe. Can you be brave for me? Emma nodded slowly. I can be brave. Like Mommy was brave. Daniel's heart clenched. Exactly like Mommy was brave. He took Emma's hand and led her inside. Mrs. Patterson was already at the door, her face worried. I heard what happened. It's all over the news. Victoria Hartwell. I need you to go home, Mrs. Patterson. Lock your doors. Don't open them for anyone until this is over. What about Emma? I'm taking her somewhere safe. Mrs. Patterson looked at Emma, then at Daniel. You take care of that little girl, she said. She's special. I know. Daniel grabbed the go bag he kept in the closet. Cash, fake IDs, a burner phone. Things he'd hoped he'd never need again. He picked up Emma. Where are we going, Daddy? On an adventure. I like adventures. I know you do. He walked out the door. Somewhere in Oakmont County, Victoria Hartwell was running, but she wouldn't run far. Daniel was coming for her. The FBI safe house was 40 miles outside of Oakmont County, buried in a neighborhood so ordinary that no one would ever look twice. Daniel carried Emma inside while 2 federal agents swept the perimeter. She had fallen asleep in the car, exhausted from the sudden change in routine. Her head rested on his shoulder, her breathing slow and steady. Catherine was waiting in the living room. She's out. Yeah. The drive calmed her down. Daniel laid Emma gently on the couch, covering her with a blanket. She thinks we're on an adventure. Maybe we are. Adventures don't usually involve federal protection details. Catherine handed him a tablet. Victoria's last known location. Her GPS was tracked to a gas station 15 miles from the Pine Valley airstrip before it went dark. She's heading for the plains. That's our assumption. We have teams converging on the airstrip now. She won't be there. Catherine looked at him. What do you mean? Victoria is smart. She knows we know about the airstrip. If she's heading in that direction, it's a decoy. She's going somewhere else. Where? Daniel stared at the map on the tablet. The gas station, the airstrip, the routes between them. The flight records Carlos gave us, they showed planes heading south toward the border. But there was one flight that went east. East. 6 months ago, a single plane. Didn't follow the usual pattern. Daniel zoomed in on the map. It landed at a private ranch about 90 miles from here, owned by a company called Mountain Vista Properties. Never heard of it. Neither had I, until I ran it through the shell company database. Daniel looked up. Mountain Vista Properties is owned by Pacific Trust Management, which is owned by Hartwell Industries. Another Hartwell property. A backup, a place to run when the main routes are compromised. Daniel grabbed his jacket. That's where she's going? Daniel, you can't just... I'm not asking permission, Catherine. I'm telling you where she'll be. We have tactical teams, trained agents. Let them handle this. Your trained agents are converging on an empty airstrip. By the time they realize their mistake, Victoria will be in the wind. Again. Catherine blocked the door. You have a daughter sleeping on that couch, a daughter who needs her father. What happens to her if you get killed chasing a woman who isn't worth it? Daniel stopped. He looked at Emma. Small, peaceful, trusting that Daddy would always come back. Victoria threatened her, Daniel said quietly. She looked me in the eye and told me she would make Emma forget my name. She said she would put me in a hole and let my daughter rot in foster care. And she's going to prison for that. She's going to escape. She has money, connections, resources we haven't even uncovered yet. If she gets out of the country, she'll disappear. And then she'll spend the rest of her life figuring out how to hurt me, how to hurt Emma. Daniel. I'm not doing this for revenge. I'm doing this because as long as Victoria Hartwell is free, my daughter is in danger, and I will not live the rest of my life looking over my shoulder. Catherine stared at him for a long moment. Then she stepped aside. Take 2 agents with you, Williams and Park. They're good. I work better alone. That's not a request. You go alone, you don't go at all. Daniel nodded. Fine. And Daniel? Catherine's voice softened. Come back. That little girl needs you more than she needs justice. I know. He kissed Emma's forehead. She stirred slightly, but didn't wake. I'll be back, he whispered. I promise. Then he walked out the door. The drive to Mountain Vista Ranch took 2 hours. Agent Williams drove. Agent Park rode shotgun. Daniel sat in the back, studying satellite images on the tablet. The ranch is 300 acres, Williams said. Main house in the center, 2 outbuildings, private road and no other access. Security. Unknown. The property isn't on any official records, no permits, no inspections. It's like it doesn't exist. It exists, Daniel said. That's where Victoria is hiding evidence she couldn't keep at her main properties. Things too dangerous to be connected to Hartwell Industries directly. What kind of evidence? Records, communications, maybe witnesses. Daniel zoomed in on the main house. If she's destroying evidence before she runs, this is where she'll do it. Park turned around. You really think she's there? I think if I were Victoria Hartwell with federal agents closing in and my whole empire crumbling. This is exactly where I'd go. Somewhere no one knows about. Somewhere I can burn everything and disappear. And if you're wrong, then we wasted a drive. But I'm not wrong. They turned off the main highway onto a dirt road. No signs, no markers, just trees and darkness. 2 miles in Williams killed the headlights. On foot from here. They moved through the woods in silence. Daniel had forgotten how natural this felt. The careful footsteps, the measured breathing, the heightened awareness of every sound and shadow. 15 years ago, this had been his life. Night operations, surveillance, taking down networks piece by piece. He'd thought those days were behind him. He'd been wrong. The ranch came into view through a gap in the trees. The main house was lit from within, warm yellow light spilling from the windows. 2 SUVs were parked outside. Black. Government plates, but not FBI plates. Those aren't federal vehicles, Park whispered. Private security, Daniel said. Victoria has her own people. How many? At least 4 based on the vehicles, maybe more inside. Williams pulled out his radio. I should call for backup. By the time backup arrives, she'll be gone. We go now or we lose her. Reeves, there are potentially 6 armed hostiles in there. The 3 of us against 6. I've had worse odds. Daniel moved before Williams could argue. He sprinted from the tree line to the side of the house, pressing himself against the wall beneath a window. He heard voices inside. How much longer? A man's voice. Gruff, impatient. 5 more minutes. The servers are almost wiped. A woman's voice. Victoria. We should have been gone an hour ago. The feds are everywhere. The feds are chasing ghosts at the airstrip. That's why I pay people to create diversions. And if they figure it out, they won't. By the time anyone realizes this place exists, we'll be in international waters. Daniel pressed closer to the window. What about Reeves? The man asked. Silence. What about him? Victoria's voice was cold. He's FBI. Connected. He won't stop coming after you. I'm aware. We should have dealt with him in the courthouse, made it look like an accident. I wanted him to suffer first. I wanted him to lose everything before he died. And now I'll settle for his daughter. Daniel's blood turned to ice. The girl, she's at an FBI safe house 40 miles from here. I have the address. How? I still have friends in law enforcement, people who owe me favors. Victoria's voice was calm, casual, like she was discussing dinner plans. Once we're clear, I'll make a call. The girl will be taken. By the time Reeves realizes what's happened, Emma will be on a plane to somewhere he'll never find her. That's risky. That's justice. He took Thomas from me. I'll take everything from him. Daniel's hands were shaking, not from fear, from rage. He pulled out his phone and texted Williams. She has the safe house location. Emma is in danger. Call Catherine now. Then he moved. He didn't wait for backup. He didn't wait for a plan. He circled to the back of the house, found a door, and kicked it in. The kitchen. Empty. He moved through it into a hallway, shouting from the front room. What was that? Check it out, now. Footsteps. Heavy. Coming toward him. Daniel pressed himself into a doorway. A man rounded the corner, tall-armed, not expecting anyone to be inside. Daniel grabbed him before he could react, one hand over his mouth, the other on his weapon. A quick twist, and the man was down unconscious. Daniel took his gun. More shouting. Jackson, report. Daniel moved toward the voice. The front room was large. Victoria stood in the center, her back to a desk covered in computer equipment. Two men flanked her, weapons drawn. She saw Daniel, and her face went white. How did you... Your backup location wasn't as secret as you thought. Kill him. The two men raised their weapons. Daniel fired twice. Both shots hit center mass. Body armor. The men staggered but didn't go down. They fired back. Daniel dove behind a couch. Bullets tore through the fabric inches from his head. Get to the car! Victoria screamed. Get me out of here! More gunfire. Daniel returned fire, keeping the men pinned, while Victoria ran for the back door. He couldn't let her escape. He broke from cover, sprinting after her. One of the guards tried to intercept him. Daniel didn't slow down. He hit the man at full speed, driving him into the wall. A quick elbow to the face, and the guard crumpled. The back door was open. Victoria was running across the yard toward the second SUV. Daniel tackled her from behind. They hit the ground hard. Victoria screamed, clawing at his face, his eyes. Daniel grabbed her wrists and pinned them above her head. It's over, Victoria. Get off me. Do you know what I'll do to you? Do you know? You're done. Your empire is finished. Your friends are in prison, and you're never going to touch my daughter. Victoria laughed. It was an ugly, broken sound. You think this is over? You think you've won? I have people everywhere, in the FBI, in the courts, in places you can't even imagine. I'll be out in a year. And when I am, I'll find your precious Emma and I'll... Daniel's grip tightened. You'll what? Victoria saw something in his eyes, something that made her stop talking. Let me tell you something, Daniel said, his voice barely above a whisper. I spent 15 years hunting monsters. Men who bought and sold children like cattle. Men who thought they were untouchable. Every single one of them said the same thing you just said. I'll get out. I'll come for you. You can't stop me. He leaned closer. They were all wrong. And so are you. Sirens in the distance. Red and blue lights flickering through the trees. Williams and Park emerged from the house, weapons drawn, covering the remaining guards. Reeves, you okay? I'm fine. Daniel stood up, pulling Victoria to her feet. But we need to get to the safe house. Now. She has people heading there. Catherine already knows. She's moving Emma. Moving her where? Somewhere safe. She said she'll call you when they're clear. Daniel's phone buzzed. Catherine's number. Tell me she's okay. She's fine. Catherine's voice was steady but tight. We intercepted a vehicle heading for the safe house. 2 men. They're in custody. Victoria's people. Yes. They had Emma's photo. They knew exactly where she was. Daniel looked at Victoria. She was smiling. Even in handcuffs, even with federal agents closing in, she was smiling. I told you, she said. I have people everywhere. Not anymore. Daniel handed her off to Williams. Get her out of my sight. The drive back to Emma took forever. Daniel didn't speak. Didn't look at the road. Just kept replaying Victoria's words in his head. I'll find your precious Emma. I'll take everything from him. This woman had tried to destroy his life, had threatened his daughter. And she was still smiling. Because she knew something Daniel didn't. He called Catherine. The men you arrested, did they talk? Not yet. They lawyered up immediately. Who's their lawyer? A firm from San Francisco, Morrison and Associates. Look into them, deep. I want to know every client they've ever represented. Daniel. Victoria said she has people in the FBI. She knew the safe house location. That information was classified. Someone on your team leaked it. Silence on the other end. I trust my people. I trusted people too. Then my wife died, and I realized trust is a luxury I can't afford. What are you saying? I'm saying you need to find the leak, before Victoria's friends find another way to get to Emma. I'll look into it. Do more than look into it. My daughter's life depends on it. He hung up. Emma was waiting at the new safe house when Daniel arrived. She ran to him the moment he walked through the door. Daddy, you were gone for 7 hours and 23 minutes. That's too long. I know, sweetheart. I'm sorry. Aunt Kathy said you were helping catch a bad person. That's right. Did you catch them? Daniel thought about Victoria. Handcuffed, smiling, still dangerous. Yes, we caught them. Good. Emma nodded firmly. Bad people should be caught. That's the rule. That's the rule. Daniel held her tight. He could feel her heartbeat against his chest. Small and fast and precious. This was what mattered. Not the investigation. Not Victoria. Not the 37 missing people, or the corrupt officials, or the trafficking network. Just this. His daughter. Safe. In his arms. Daddy. Yes. You smell like dirt and sweat. You need a shower. Daniel laughed. You're right. I definitely need a shower. And then can we have dinosaur nuggets? Aunt Kathy doesn't have any, but she said she would send someone to get some. Dinosaur nuggets sound perfect. And then can we watch the Purple Dinosaur show? Absolutely. And then bedtime at 8 Hazura. Bedtime at 8 Hazura. Emma smiled. Her routine was restored. Her world was ordered again. Daniel wished his world was that simple. Later that night, after Emma was asleep, Catherine called. We found the leak. Who? Agent Morrison. He's been on Victoria's payroll for 3 years. We arrested him an hour ago. Morrison. Daniel remembered the name. A mid-level agent. Nothing special. Forgettable. He claims he didn't know what Victoria was using the information for. Says he thought it was just corporate espionage. And you believe him? No. But it doesn't matter what I believe. It matters what we can prove. What about Victoria's other contacts? She said she has people everywhere. We're investigating. It's going to take time. Time is exactly what Victoria wants. Every day she has to plan, she's more dangerous. She's in federal custody, Daniel. Maximum security. No bail this time. That's what you said before. This is different. She tried to kidnap a child. She threatened a federal agent's family. No judge in the country is going to let her walk. I hope you're right. I am right. Catherine paused. Go get some sleep. You've been running on adrenaline for 3 days. You're no good to Emma if you collapse. I know. And Daniel. What you did tonight. Going in alone. Taking down those guards. That was either incredibly brave or incredibly stupid. Probably both. Probably. But it worked. Victoria is in custody. Her operation is exposed. And 37 families might finally get answers about what happened to their loved ones. Might. We're still tracking the planes, following the money. It's going to take months to unravel everything Victoria built. But there's hope. There's hope. For the first time in years, there's actually hope. Daniel hung up. He walked to Emma's room and stood in the doorway watching her sleep. She was clutching her favorite dinosaur. Her face was peaceful. Her breathing was slow and steady. This little girl had lost her mother, had almost lost her father, had been threatened by a woman who wanted to use her as a weapon. And through all of it, she had remained brave, strong, resilient, just like Sarah. Daniel thought about his wife, her smile, her laugh, the way she used to hold Emma when she was a baby, singing lullabies in a voice that made the whole world feel safe. Take care of her, Sarah had whispered. Promise me. He had promised, and despite everything, the courthouse, the arrest, Victoria's threats, the chase through the woods, he had kept that promise. Emma was safe. Victoria was in custody. The worst was over, or so he thought. At 3:00 a.m. his phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. You think you've won. But the game is just beginning. See you soon, Daniel. He stared at the message. Victoria was in federal custody. Maximum security. No phone, no computer, no way to contact the outside world. So who sent this? Daniel looked at Emma's sleeping face. The worst wasn't over. It was just getting started. Daniel didn't sleep that night. He sat in the chair beside Emma's bed, his phone in one hand, his eyes on the door. The message burned in his mind like a brand. You think you've won, but the game is just beginning. See you soon, Daniel. At 6:00 a.m. he called Catherine. I need you to trace a number. What number? He read it off. Catherine was silent for a moment. That's a burner. Prepaid. Probably bought with cash at a convenience store. We can try to trace the tower ping, but Victoria has a partner. What? Someone sent me a message last night. Someone who knows me. Someone who's still free. Daniel, Victoria's entire network is compromised. We've arrested everyone connected to her operation. Then you missed someone. Catherine sighed. Send me the message. I'll have our tech team analyze it. I need more than analysis. I need answers. I'll get you answers. But Daniel, don't do anything stupid. You have Emma to think about. Emma is the only thing I'm thinking about. He hung up. Emma stirred in her bed. Daddy. I'm here, sweetheart. You didn't sleep. I can tell because your eyes are red. I had a lot on my mind. Emma sat up. She studied his face with that intense focus she inherited from Sarah. Are you scared, Daddy? The question hit him like a punch. Why do you ask that? Because you're sitting in that chair like you're waiting for something bad to happen. You only do that when you're scared. Daniel looked at his daughter. 7 years old, autistic, more perceptive than anyone he'd ever met. Yes, he admitted. I'm a little scared. Of what? Of not being able to protect you. Emma climbed out of bed and walked over to him. She took his hand in both of hers. Daddy, you always protect me. That's what you do. You're the best protector in the whole world. What if I can't always be there? Then I'll be brave, like Mommy taught me. Emma squeezed his hand. And when you come back, we'll have dinosaur nuggets and everything will be okay again. Daniel pulled her into a hug. When did you get so smart? I was born smart. You told me that. I did, and I was right. The answer came 3 hours later. Catherine called while Emma was eating breakfast. We traced the tower ping. The message was sent from inside Oakmont County, specifically from inside the Hartwell estate. The estate, Victoria's house. Her brother's house, Marcus Hartwell. The DA, I thought he was in custody. He was released yesterday. Insufficient evidence. His lawyers argued he had no direct involvement in Victoria's trafficking operation. Daniel's grip tightened on the phone. He's been helping her this whole time. We don't have proof. The message came from his house. The message came from a burner phone that could have been used by anyone. We can't prove Marcus sent it. So what do? We watch. We wait. We build the case properly this time. And in the meantime, he's free to come after my daughter. Daniel? No, I'm done waiting. I'm done watching. Marcus Hartwell sent me a threat. I'm going to respond. Don't do anything you'll regret. The only thing I regret is not ending this sooner. He hung up. Emma looked up from her cereal. Who was that? Aunt Kathy. Is something wrong? No, sweetheart. Everything is going to be fine. You're lying. Your voice does that thing when you lie. It gets higher at the end. Daniel stared at her. You're too observant for your own good. I know. Mommy used to say the same thing. Emma pushed her cereal around the bowl. Are you going somewhere? Yes, but not for long. Will you be back by 6:00 for dinner? I'll be back by 6:00, I promise. You keep making promises, Daddy. You have to keep them all. I will, I promise. Emma nodded. Okay, but if you're late, I get to pick the TV show. Deal. The Hartwell estate sat on a hill overlooking Oakmont County like a monument to power and corruption. Daniel parked at the gate. 2 security guards approached his car. Can I help you? I'm here to see Marcus Hartwell. Mr. Hartwell isn't accepting visitors. Tell him Daniel Reeves is here. Tell him I got his message. The guard hesitated. Then he spoke into his radio. A long pause. Mr. Hartwell will see you. Park by the fountain. Someone will escort you inside. The gate opened. Daniel drove up the winding driveway past manicured gardens and marble statues. Everything screamed wealth, power, invincibility. He thought about the 37 people who had vanished, the families who would never see their loved ones again, the lives destroyed so the Hartwells could add another 0 to their bank accounts. A butler met him at the front door. This way, Mr. Reeves. They walked through a hallway lined with portraits, generations of Hartwells staring down at him. Judges, senators, businessmen, a dynasty built on secrets and suffering. Marcus Hartwell was waiting in the study. He was younger than Victoria, early 40s, slick hair, expensive suit. The kind of man who had never worked a day in his life, but spoke with the confidence of someone who owned the world. Mr. Reeves. Marcus gestured to a chair. Please, sit. Daniel remained standing. You sent me a message. Did I? Don't play games. I know it was you. Marcus smiled. It was the same smile Victoria had worn in the courtroom. Cold, calculating, cruel. Let's say, hypothetically, that someone sent you a message. What would you do about it? I'd come here. I'd look that person in the eye, and I'd tell them that if they ever threaten my daughter again, I will destroy them. Strong words. I'm a strong man. Marcus walked to the window. He gazed out at the valley below. My sister made a mistake. She let her emotions get the better of her. She wanted revenge so badly that she forgot the first rule of power. What's that? Never let them see you coming. Marcus turned back to Daniel. Victoria should have left you alone, should have let you deliver your packages and raise your daughter in peace. But she couldn't resist. She had to prove she was stronger than the man who destroyed her lover. I didn't destroy Thomas Crane. The evidence destroyed him. Same difference. Marcus sat down behind his desk. He folded his hands. Here's the situation, Mr. Reeves. My sister is in federal custody. She's going to prison for a very long time. Her assets are frozen. Her reputation is ruined. Everything she built is gone. Good. But I'm still here. Daniel felt the temperature in the room drop. You're still here because the FBI doesn't have enough evidence to connect you to Victoria's operation. The FBI doesn't have evidence because there is no evidence. I'm a legitimate businessman, a public servant, the former district attorney of Oakmont County. You're a trafficker, just like your sister. Prove it. Silence. Marcus leaned forward. You can't. And that's why you're here. You came to threaten me, to intimidate me, to make yourself feel powerful. He laughed softly. But we both know the truth. You're not powerful. You're a single father with a sick child and no resources. You're a delivery driver who got lucky. I'm the man who took down your sister. You're the man who's about to make a very important decision. Marcus opened a drawer in his desk. He pulled out a folder. This contains everything I know about your daughter, her medical records, her school schedule, her therapy appointments, the name of every person who has ever cared for her. Daniel's fists clenched. If you touch her. I'm not going to touch her. I'm a civilized man. Marcus slid the folder across the desk. I'm going to offer you a deal. What kind of deal? Walk away. Take your daughter. Leave Oakmont County. Never look back. Marcus smiled. In exchange, I'll make sure you're never bothered again. No threats, no messages, no mysterious accidents. You get to live your life in peace. And the 37 people your sister trafficked? What about them? They have families, people who deserve to know what happened to them. Those people are gone. There's nothing you can do to bring them back. I can bring them justice? Justice. Marcus laughed. Justice is a concept invented by the weak to restrain the strong. In the real world, there is no justice. There's only power. And right now, I have the power. Daniel looked at the folder on the desk. Emma's entire life reduced to paper. Medical records, school schedules, everything that made her vulnerable. He thought about Victoria's words in the conference room. I'll find your precious Emma. I'll take everything from him. The same threat, different Hartwell. You know what I think? Daniel said slowly. What's that? I think you're scared. Marcus's smile flickered. Excuse me. You sent that message because you wanted to intimidate me. You invited me here because you wanted to show me how powerful you are. But underneath all the suits and the money and the family name, you're terrified. That's absurd. Your sister is in prison. Your network is exposed. The FBI is crawling through every file, every account, every connection you've ever had. And you know it's only a matter of time before they find something that links you to her operation. They won't find anything. Maybe, maybe not. But you don't know for sure. And that uncertainty is eating you alive. Daniel leaned forward. Here's my counteroffer. You leave my daughter alone. You leave me alone. And when the FBI finally builds their case against you, and they will, I'll make sure they know you cooperated. Cooperated. Turn on your sister. Give them the evidence they need. Names, dates, account numbers, everything. You want me to betray my own family. I want you to save yourself. Because the alternative is spending the rest of your life in a federal prison wondering how a delivery driver brought down the Hartwell dynasty. Marcus stared at him. For a long moment, neither man spoke. Then Marcus picked up the phone on his desk. Security. Escort Mr. Reeves off the property. Think about my offer, Marcus. Get out. The clock is ticking. Eventually, someone in your organization is going to talk. When they do, you'll wish you'd taken this deal. The door opened. 2 guards appeared. Mr. Reeves is leaving, Marcus said. Make sure he finds the gate. Daniel stood up. He didn't look back as he walked out of the study through the hallway past the portraits of dead Hartwells. At the front door, he stopped. One more thing, he said to the guards. Tell Marcus that his sister made the same mistake he's making. She underestimated me, and now she's going to prison for the rest of her life. He walked to his car. He was back at the safe house by 5:30. Emma was waiting by the window when he arrived. You're early. That's good. That means we have extra time. Extra time for what? I made you a card. Emma held up a piece of construction paper. It was covered in crayon drawings, stick figures, dinosaurs, and hearts. It says, "Best Daddy Ever." I wrote it myself. Daniel took the card. His eyes burned. "It's beautiful, sweetheart. Do you like the dinosaurs? I drew 7 of them because I'm 7 years old. I love the dinosaurs. I love all of it." "Good." Emma nodded firmly. "Now we can have dinosaur nuggets." Head. That night, after Emma was asleep, Daniel sat at the kitchen table with his phone. He had made a decision. He dialed Maya's number. "Daniel, is everything okay? I need your help. Anything. Marcus Hartwell is still free. He threatened Emma today." "What? How?" "He's been running the operation from behind the scenes. Victoria was the face, but Marcus was the brain. He has evidence that could blow this whole case open." "What kind of evidence?" "I don't know yet, but I know how to find out." "How?" "Victoria. She's the key. If we can get her to turn on her brother, she might give us everything we need." "Victoria hates you. She's not going to help you." "She will if the alternative is worse." "What's worse than life in federal prison?" "Life in federal prison knowing her brother walked free while she took the fall." Maya was silent for a moment. "That's actually not a bad strategy." "I need you to arrange a meeting. Use your legal connections. Tell Victoria I want to talk, just the 2 of us." "She'll never agree." "She will when she finds out Marcus sent me a message threatening Emma. Victoria may be a monster, but she's a monster who believes in family loyalty. Finding out her brother is already planning to let her rot while he escapes might change her perspective." "This is dangerous, Daniel." "Everything about this has been dangerous, but it's the only way to end it." "When do you want to meet with her?" "Tomorrow, the sooner the better." "I'll make some calls." "Thank you, Maya, for everything." "Just promise me you'll be careful." "I promise." The meeting happened at the Federal Detention Center. Victoria was brought in wearing an orange jumpsuit, the same orange Daniel had worn in her county jail. Her hair was limp. Her face was pale. Prison had not been kind to her, but her eyes were still sharp. "Daniel Reeves." She sat down across from him, chains rattling on the table. "Come to gloat. Come to offer you a deal. I don't make deals with people who destroyed my life." "Your brother already made a deal. With himself." Which Victoria's expression flickered. "What are you talking about?" "Marcus sent me a message yesterday. Threatened my daughter. Then he invited me to his house and offered to let me walk away if I stopped investigating." "That doesn't sound like Marcus." "He's cutting his losses, Victoria. He knows the FBI is closing in. He knows someone in your organization is eventually going to flip. And when they do, he's going to make sure all the evidence points to you." Victoria's jaw tightened. "You're lying." "Am I?" "Think about it. Who handled the legal documents for the shell companies? Who had the political connections to keep the police and judges in line? Who stood to inherit everything if you went to prison?" "Marcus is my brother. Marcus is a survivor, just like you taught him to be." Victoria stared at him. The hatred was still there, but something else was seeping through. Doubt. Uncertainty. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because I want the same thing you want. I want this to be over. I want my daughter to be safe. And I want everyone responsible for what happened to those 37 people to face justice. Including me. You're already facing justice. You're going to prison for the rest of your life, but Marcus is going to walk free, unless you stop him. And how am I supposed to do that? Give me the evidence. The real evidence. The stuff you kept hidden. The accounts Marcus doesn't know about. The communications he thought were deleted." Victoria laughed bitterly. "You think I kept evidence against my own brother? I think you're smart enough to have insurance, just in case things went wrong." Silence. Victoria looked at her hands, chained, trapped, everything she had built crumbling around her. "If I help you," she said slowly, "what do I get?" "Nothing. You're still going to prison. But you'll go knowing Marcus is going with you. And you'll go knowing that the families of those 37 people might finally get answers. That's supposed to motivate me. No, this is. Daniel leaned forward. Marcus threatened my daughter. The same daughter you threatened in that conference room. If you help me take him down, I'll make sure Emma knows that the woman who tried to hurt her helped make things right in the end. Victoria stared at him. You want me to redeem myself in the eyes of a 7-year-old? I want you to do one decent thing before you spend the rest of your life in a cell. Just one. The silence stretched between them. Then Victoria spoke. There's a safe deposit box, First National Bank in San Francisco, under the name Sarah Mitchell. Sarah Mitchell. A fake identity I created years ago. The box contains documents, communications between Marcus and Thomas Crane. Proof that Marcus was involved in the trafficking operation from the beginning. Why didn't you use this before? Because I never thought I'd need it. Because I trusted my brother. Victoria's voice cracked. Because I was stupid. Daniel stood up. Thank you. Don't thank me. I'm not doing this for you. I'm doing this because Marcus deserves to rot just as much as I do. Fair enough. He walked to the door. Reeves. He turned back. Victoria's eyes were wet. For the first time since he'd met her, she looked human. Tell your daughter I'm sorry. Tell her. Tell her not everyone starts out as a monster. Some of us just forget how to be anything else. Daniel nodded. I'll tell her. 3 weeks later, Marcus Hartwell was arrested. The documents Victoria provided connected him to every aspect of the trafficking operation. The money laundering, the prisoner transfers, the disappearances. He was charged with 147 counts of human trafficking conspiracy and racketeering. The trial made national headlines. The Hartwell dynasty generations of judges, senators, and businessmen collapsed overnight. And in the ashes, something unexpected emerged. Hope. Of the 37 people who had vanished, 12 were found alive. They had been sold to labor operations in Central America. It took federal agents 6 months to track them down and bring them home. 25 were never found. Their families received death certificates and apologies. It wasn't enough. Nothing would ever be enough. But it was closure. And sometimes closure is all we can offer. 1 year later, Daniel stood in the backyard of their new house watching Emma plant tomatoes in perfectly straight rows. They had moved. New state, new school, new life, the old life, the FBI, the trafficking investigation. The Hartwells felt like a dream, or a nightmare. Sometimes Daniel couldn't tell the difference. Daddy? Yes, sweetheart. The tomatoes are growing. Look. Emma pointed at the tiny green sprouts emerging from the soil. I planted them 67 days ago. That's 9 weeks and 4 days. I calculated it. You're very good at math. I know. Mommy was good at math too. You told me that. Daniel knelt down beside her. She was. She was good at everything. Emma looked at him with Sarah's eyes. Do you think she can see the tomatoes from heaven? I think she sees everything you do, and I think she's very proud of you. I think so too. Emma nodded firmly. Because I'm brave, like she taught me. You're the bravest person I know. Braver than you. Much braver than me. Emma smiled. It was the smile that had gotten Daniel through the darkest days. The smile that reminded him why he kept fighting, why he kept going, why he never gave up. Daddy. Yes. Can we have dinosaur nuggets for dinner? Daniel laughed. We can have whatever you want. And then the purple dinosaur show? Absolutely. And then bedtime at 8:00. Bedtime at 8:00. Emma stood up and dusted off her hands. Good, because routines are important. You taught me that. I did. And promises are important too. You have to keep them. I always try. Not try. Emma shook her head. Promise. There's a difference. Daniel looked at his daughter, 7 years old, Almost 8 now. Autistic. Brilliant. The center of his entire universe. He held up his pinky finger. I promise. Emma wrapped her tiny finger around his. Good. They walked inside together. Father and daughter. Survivor and hope. Behind them, the tomatoes continued to grow, reaching toward the sun, thriving in soil that had once been barren. Just like them. That night, after Emma was asleep, Daniel sat on the porch and looked up at the stars. His phone buzzed. A text from Maya. Just saw the news. Victoria's appeal was denied. She's staying in prison for life. Marcus too. It's really over. Daniel typed back. Thank you for everything. You did the hard part. I just made a phone call. Sometimes one call changes everything. It did for you. Daniel put the phone down. He thought about Sarah, about Emma, about the 37 people whose lives had been stolen by the Hartwells. He thought about Victoria's words in the prison. Not everyone starts out as a monster. Some of us just forget how to be anything else. Maybe that was true. Maybe everyone had the capacity for evil, for cruelty, for forgetting their own humanity. But everyone also had the capacity for good, for sacrifice, for standing up when it would be easier to stay down. Daniel had made a choice. In that courtroom with blood on his face and handcuffs on his wrists, he had chosen to fight. Not with fists, not with violence, but with truth, with patience, with the unwavering belief that justice, even when it seemed impossible, was worth fighting for. And he had won. Not because he was stronger than the Hartwells, not because he was smarter or richer or more powerful. He had won because he refused to become what they were. He had won because he kept his promises. He had won because in the end, love was stronger than hate, and a father's devotion was more powerful than a dynasty's corruption. The stars twinkled overhead. The night was quiet, peaceful. Inside the house, Emma slept soundly, dreaming of dinosaurs and tomatoes and a father who always came home. Daniel smiled. The game was over. The monsters were in cages. And for the first time in a very long time, the future felt bright. He stood up and walked inside, closing the door softly behind him. Tomorrow, Emma would wake up at 7 a.m. They would have breakfast at 7:15. She would go to school, and he would go to work, a new job, a legitimate job, helping the FBI train agents on how to track trafficking networks. Life would go on. Simple. Ordinary. Beautiful. And that was enough. That was everything. Daniel Reeves had been a delivery driver, a single father, a man without power or connections or resources. But when they pushed him, he didn't break. When they threatened his daughter, he didn't run. And when they tried to destroy him, he stood up, looked them in the eye, and said the words that changed everything. I promise. Some promises are just words. Others are unbreakable. Daniel Reeves kept his promises, and that made all the difference.